Today on Locked On Red Wings, despite recent team struggles, Patrick Kane is on fire.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fischer and Scotty Bentley. I'm a podcast producer for the Daily J, a WWJ News Radio podcast, while Scotty's host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News. And Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, bud.
A special Christmas episode because the Red Wings played 2 games, so it just felt like a disservice to not cover those 2 games or wait until like Tuesday to talk about it. So Merry Christmas. A Christmas episode for all you guys. I don't think we don't have anything special planned, holiday themed, but
we have too much to talk about to do any like cheesy like Christmas stuff.
Your Christmas gift is listening to us talk about the Red Wings play hockey, which I don't know,
dude, like it genuinely, like we legitimately have too much to go over to have like a Christmas themed anything. Like we have way too much hockey to talk about.
So the question is, Scotty, is talking about the Red Wings a naughty or a nice gift? Is this a coal in people's stockings, or is this like a Christmas gift?
I don't think the weekend was a coal, but you didn't get a car either. Like
this is like opening up a pack of socks. Like you needed them, right? You weren't like, you're not thrilled about it.
Sure. Yeah. I'm fine with it.
All right. So yeah, Scotty, obviously 2 games to break down. It's gonna be a little bit of a longer episode because that first game was crazy against the Philadelphia Flyers. But I feel like we should lead off talking about Patrick Kane. He is the league's 3rd star of the week. He has 8 points, 4 goals, 4 assists in the last 4 games from this past week. And he had 4 points this weekend alone, 2 goals and an assist in Philly, and then a goal again in New Jersey. Both first goals of the game really started the Red Wings off on the right foot in both those games. I am going to very publicly say, I am sorry, Patrick Kane, for ever doubting your ability to play.
Yeah, no, that was very much. I had a whole like monologue semi-planned about how my concern for Patrick Kane on this hockey team was, I mean, legitimately,
it's gone.
Well, yes, it's gone, obviously, but just thinking back, I mean, I haven't been that wrong about something in a while. So
and it's one of those situations where you're happy to be wrong too, right?
Right, exactly. And that's my other thing, man, is like 10 times out of 10, I would rather be wrong if it benefits the Detroit Red Wings. So like I'm pumped about it. He is clearly fine. Clearly he is very much okay. And it's an IQ thing we talk about all the time. It's just a puck handling thing, right? Like, does he have the speed anymore? No. Does he make, I don't want to say questionable decisions because it's not the decisions, but a lack of plays in the defensive side of the zone, sure. But like, you knew all of that going into this.
That's Patrick Kane.
Right. And he has been, I think, like tenfold what I at least expected out of this when we signed him. And he has been phenomenal offensively for this hockey team. He has been a huge reason as to why the Wings are even, they've been skidding lately, but like he's one of the only reasons they've even been remotely able to keep their heads above water. So I'll go on that, in on that apology with you. Merry Christmas, and I'm sorry, dude.
Right. I mean, we spent not just one, but like multiple episodes as the rumor mills circulated all the way back into when free agency first began this past summer, talking about how, he's older. He's not the Patrick Kane he was coming off the surgery. He's not going to be the player that he once was, and that the Red Wings really didn't need him. And, just before the Red Wings signed him, because it was that we did an episode the day before he signed because the rumor mill was really heating up that it was between the Red Wings and a couple other teams. And I was like, you know what? I'm looking at it, and I think it might be worth the risk. Sure, it's like really not. You're not really risking a lot by signing him. So I changed my tune right at the last moment, and I'm glad I did. But overall, I mean, he has been, and you mentioned his speed. I don't think that his speed isn't even as bad as we think it is either. Acceleration, maybe, yeah. But once he gets up to top speed, he can still fly through the neutral zone.
Isn't needed.
Like it's not like necessary or required for him to be good at his job. Like, you know what I mean? He doesn't rely on it to be effective. So like, who even cares? You know, he's been absolutely incredible. This weekend was unbelievable for him. Obviously, what is he, the third star in the NHL? Just a fantastic, looking like a fantastic pickup by the Wings, and looking ridiculous for ever having doubted the greatest American-born hockey player of all time. But.
Well, and he also put the team on his back in Philly, and
Correct.
that honestly, that game probably cemented him as the NHL's third star of the week. Obviously, a 3-point game, 2 goals, 1 assist, but also the shootout winner. I mean, that game, that victory does not happen without Patrick Kane's individual performance in that one.
For sure.
And I guess
like literally,
right? No,
literally, like literally, it doesn't. Yeah.
And I guess that's a perfect transition into talking about the first of the 2 back-to-back games. But first, before we can actually really dive in, Scotty, you know what we got to do. And I'm not going to ask you for an individual word for each game. We'll do, what's one word to describe your feelings from the weekend overall?
I don't know. I want to say like mixed. Like it's because it's, you know what I mean? It's multiple games. I don't think that this weekend completely like changed how I feel about this team, like where we were at going into the weekend. You know what I mean? I mean, we lost one game and then blew a 5-1 lead in the other one and like took it to a shootout. I mean, I've never said anything bad about the shootout, by the way. It's just like it's one of those things where I'm glad we walked out of here, you know, with 2 points, but this is, you know, I'm not like just re-injected with like faith and optimism after this either. So I'm gonna go with a mixed bag. I'm gonna go with mixed.
Yeah, my word is relieved, and not because they got a win or they got 1 or 2.
No, because the Red Wings break.
We're on a break. This team has gone through a gauntlet recently. 3 games in 4 days. I think it's like 7 games in like 12 or 13 games.
There's an argument the Wings have needed the Christmas break more than literally every other team in the NHL.
And then the injury bug just continuously hampering them along this stretch. Like this team, more than like any team in the NHL, it feels like it really needs a 3-day break, you said? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, 3-day break. Yeah. Just to try and, you know, some of the players who might be out longer, 3 days isn't going to be enough, but nurse their bumps and bruises and rest and come back refreshed and hit that reset button. Malone even said hit the reset button himself in the post-game recap after New Jersey. But yeah, I mean, the game against the Philadelphia Flyers, Scotty, I thought, and probably all of Red Wings land thought, after that first period in which the Red Wings scored 5 goals and had a 5-1 lead, it was going to be just an absolute like freight train over the Philadelphia Flyers. I thought the Red Wings
would go out on a limb and say, if you've been watching the Wings consistently this year, you didn't necessarily think that.
You know what's funny is I did think to myself, and it was foolish. There's no way they blow a 5-1 lead. But even though the start of this skid started with them blowing a 4-0 lead in the span of 5 minutes against the Sharks, I should have known better. And they even scored.
I think I tweeted out something like, I only blame myself for having fun in the first period. I should have known better. Like, that's actually how I felt. Like,
well, and it was the most quintessential Red Wings game I've seen this season. I mean, it encapsulated everything that this team does in a single game. Score in bunches, get out to a lead, and then slowly allow the opponent to chip their way, gnaw their way back into the game. And, you know, that first period, though, and I don't want to like brush the first period under the rug because it was fantastic. And they looked energized and looked like they were on a mission. And just the goals that were scored in that game were fantastic. I mean, that first goal of the game from DeBrincat to Larkin to Kane. Kane, of course, cleaning up another rebound. That's how he scored the game before that, was just being in the right place at the right time. And then right after that, DeBrincat to Patrick Kane down low the side of the net. And I'm like 2-0 right off the bat. We're hot. Sprong scores on the power play. Then Veleno just gets like 3 chances at the net, and Confer buries the rebound. And then Gostisbehere with 17 seconds left. I'm like, this is it. We're going to win this game. Ultimately, I was right, but not without sheer heart attack in periods 2 and 3. It was a very mixed bag of a game.
For sure. Absolutely. The proverbial and expected collapse there was certainly frustrating. But yeah, I mean, this game alone is a mixed emotion game. You had your offense actually showed signs of life for the first time in weeks, and I think that that's not for nothing. I think that that's a really good thing. I think that that's something that can give you a little bit of optimism going forward. This team at Perron's back, etc. Like this forward core at close to full health, the closest it's been to full health in a while, finally re-proved and re-showed that they can fill the back of the net. That's awesome. And then the defense continued to do defense things, and the goaltending continued to do goaltending things with Reimer and net. So, and obviously there's a little bit more of a conversation with goaltending after the New Jersey game, but I don't know. It was like the quintessential Wings game, right?
Yeah.
Like they scored a lot. They had a collapse. The defense and goaltending was bad, but they still won. That's like the season so far. So,
yeah. And we'll talk about it more too, because, I don't know how much 3 of those Flyers goals were like incredible, that 3 in a row win in the way that they win in. We'll talk about the second period and
oh
on,
my goodness. If I have to see another blue line tip in, I think I'm not going to finish that sentence.
All right. Stay tuned for periods 2 and 3 in segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings. Segment 2.
Periods 2 and 3.
Periods 2 and 3. Yeah. So the Red Wings, obviously, as we've already noted, were incredible in the first period. In fact, they had a 60% share of the shot attempts and a 67% share of the quality shot attempts at 5-on-5 in the first period. But after that, they did, like we said, they did typical Red Wings things. They took their foot off the gas pedal. They became much more conservative, and they allowed a team that's not really a goal-scoring team to just continually chip away at the lead, put pucks in the back of the net. And second period, the Flyers scored 2 more goals. Both of them were like back-to-back, like a minute apart at best. Scored the same exact way. A player down low was left uncontested to redirect a shot from the point. And, redirected shots, I'm not going to give Reimer crap for. I won't. I will give him crap for the last 2 goals he allowed in that hockey game. But the 3 redirected shots he allowed and the 2 in the second, I'm not going to blame him for. That, in my opinion, is always going to be on the defenseman to tie up your guy. And they just continue, like what they do is they just stand next to their guy and they don't try and tie him up. And I understand the logic behind it, because I don't want to compare myself to an NHL player. I mean, people have seen me play. I'm not very good. But like, if you tie up a guy in front, you're tied up with him. He's tying you up. And so if there's a scramble out front or there's another guy back door, now you've become incapable of covering that guy as well. So I understand the logic behind it, and it's a tough lose-lose situation. But you would think when you see the first one happen, and then maybe even the second one happen, you start thinking, maybe I should cover this guy who's right in front screening my goalie and try and prevent him from redirecting the puck, because they clearly proved they have very good hand-eye coordination. And there were 3 straight goals scored by the Philadelphia Flyers in this game because of that. And that also doesn't happen. That pressure, those goals don't happen if not just the defense, but if the forwards don't take their foot off the gas and become conservative hockey. And that is a coaching thing. And, I'm trying to give the coaching staff and Derek Lalonde time. That's like why I've tried to avoid being critical, because I know that again, with all the new bodies, Derek Lalonde also being a new head coach, that it's going to take time for this system to work out. But it's just, it's getting very stale with me very fast, Scotty. I'm getting very tired very fast of seeing this conservative approach whenever the Red Wings get the lead, because whenever you allow the other team, allow the other team to possess the puck, is going to allow them to have more opportunities to shoot the puck, more opportunities to bury the puck. And time again this season, we have seen that. So while, yes, there's defensive woes with not covering your guy out front, tying him up so he can't redirect the shot. A lot of this is coached. And so I'm not like sounding the alarm yet on fire Derek Lalonde or anything like that. But along this stretch, even when they were winning, and they were blowing those leads. We saw the same kind of conservative approach once they got a large lead. And in today's NHL, especially with the makeup of this defense and the makeup of this goaltending tandem, you really can't afford to turn conservative, in after you have a lead.
It's also like, we can, everything you just said is accurate, but it's also really just not hard to just watch the fact that this has happened a million times before the new year and be like, well, maybe we should change something, right? Like, I feel like that's not that difficult to just be like, wow, we have blown literally every lead we've had since Halloween. Maybe we should change something up. Like, I feel like that's a really easy thing to do. And not that the finding the right system is an easy thing to do, but I think it's a really easy decision to just be like, well, we should probably change it up a little bit. I think it 100% falls on coaching, and like the players are the ones out there at the end of the day. But I don't know how you look any other direction than behind the bench when thinking about who needs to be the leader in fixing this issue where we blow literally every single lead we have. I think it's very, very easily falls on the shoulders of Lalonde, and that is like the biggest thing I want to come out of this break is some sort of new game plan when we have a lead.
And like, let's not also, we mentioned in the first segment, but again, fatigue, right? Lots of games in a few games.
Yeah, 100%.
And but the injury bug, they lost Maatta in this game, and the second period off a clean hit, he just got.
But the blowing leads isn't just happening on second games of back-to-backs when there's injuries. Like, this has been a thing for like the last month and a half. This has been a thing. So yes, you're right. In a vacuum of this game solely, for sure, but this has been a thing for the entire season.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought overall the second period, despite those two quick back-to-back goals, they settled it down. It was pretty tight until about 10 minutes left, and the Flyers really started. And I thought the fatigue started to set in as well, and turn again the conservative play style. And then the third period was just all Flyers. Just they had all of the shot attempts in that third period. It was 22 shot attempts to 13 shot attempts for the Flyers to the Red Wings. They were just fully on their heels. And like, again, I think it's a mix of scheme and just overall exhaustion. You're down another body. So pairs become kind of wild. You had another tipped goal. That's where the third one took place. But then late in the game, when you really needed to lock it down and just try and survive, James Reimer just went nuclear. He just exploded. Mm-hmm. I mean, he didn't look great all game long. He hasn't really looked great in any of the games he played. I always felt like he was a little scrambly and more reactive than proactive and making saves. But he made two saves that puck back to back where the puck trickled behind him in just a couple of minutes. You went from leading 5-4 to being down 6-5 with 5 minutes left. And I'm like, they're legitimately going to lose this game in regulation because James Reimer, I mean, I think when your goaltending becomes healthy,
were losing.
Yeah. And I honestly do think that when this game or when this break is over and when your goaltending is healthy, I think right? Like Ville Husso and Alex Lyon are your guys. And I thought Michael Hutchinson even looked better than James Reimer. He didn't look perfect either. I'm not going to say he did. He did post a .917 save percentage. But if you watch him, I don't know if it was necessarily like the most on his game. But again, like there's so many other factors going on there. I'm not going to like crap on Michael Hutchinson. But even he, I thought, looked better than James Reimer when James Reimer played. I think your decision's kind of there. The question is can you really afford to put him on waivers when it's been now proven that being 3 goalies deep is kind of very important because now you're on your 4th goalie. So it's like, but I feel like at least we know who our 1 and 2 are.
I agree.
So it's really frustrating. And if it wasn't for Dylan Larkin and a gift from the hockey gods scoring from behind the net, this game would have never gotten to overtime.
But it did.
It did. And it was really good overtime, too. It was actually really fun. The Red Wings had a lot of opportunities. Carter Hart went God mode in overtime and stoned the Red Wings 2-3 separate times.
I think it was 3.
But then in the shootout, the roles reversed, and then James Reimer was lights out in the shootout, and Carter Hart was letting 2 of the 3 shots in.
Patrick Kane.
What'd you think of that when they were throwing the hats on the ice after he scored the shootout winner?
Yeah, I mean, genuinely, I don't think I would have. I don't think I would have launched a cap for that one. But at the same time, the video of the Wings celebrating on the ice and all of LCA screaming "Journey" is just.
They were yelling the word "Journey."
Okay, I don't know if you
I'm
know the
messing
song
with you.
"Don't Stop Believin'" by Journey, and there's a part in it about South Detroit that everybody yells. I don't know if you're from here.
I was joking. Well, no one from South
you're
Detroit.
just being rude. So it's this.
You should know by now.
But that video, I just was awesome. It gave me goosebumps. I loved it.
Yeah.
And so. Yeah, I don't know if I would have thrown my hat, but it was still a cool moment to get that.
And I mean, in the end, they broke their 4-game losing streak. Got a win at home going into Christmas break. It's really hard. It's just really hard to feel really good about a game where you had a 5-1 lead and then blew it and almost lost the game
100%.
in regulation.
100%.
So, but I'll take the 2 points. I'm not going to complain about 2 points.
They don't ask how.
I also have I have more thoughts on individual players, but we just don't have time for it in this episode. I'll just say it real quickly. My patience with Justin Holl is also starting to wear thin, and I thought that the top line, especially in the first period, to break it, Kane, Larkin were phenomenal. So,
yeah, it's a really fun line.
But we got to get into the second game of this back-to-back, so stay tuned for that in segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty also on the first assist, because DeBrincat had 3 assists in the game against Philly. It was his 200th career assist, so congratulations to him as well. But we got to move on to the game against the New Jersey Devils. A bit of a role reversal between these two games, right? Like we talked a lot about these two teams going into the weekend because we just do game previews. And we noted that Philadelphia Flyers would probably be a grinded out low. I don't know about low scoring with this team. But it'd be, if you're going to win, it'd be a grinded out win. It'd be low scoring, and that's how it'd go. And then the Devils would probably be like a shootout. Rules absolutely reversed. 7-6 win against the Flyers, 3-2 loss to the Devils. I do think a big part of the reason why the Red Wings lost in this game was because of, again, injuries and fatigue. I'm not trying to completely dismiss and give them just a free pass on the loss, because, you have to go, you're given the schedule you're given, and every team goes through these rough stretches. Even Alone has said that you got to try and find a way to win games, but it does make it a little bit easier of a pill to swallow when just like less than 24 hours later, you're back on the ice. You're down Olli Maatta. You've called up Simon Edvinsson. You're starting your Grand Rapids Griffins backup goaltender in that. So there's a lot of factors going on in this game. And I thought overall, despite getting heavily outshot, that the Red Wings played a pretty okay game. And that heavily outshot factor didn't come until the end of the second and, start of the third. That is where the Devils really kind of suffocated the Red Wings offense. But through the first 40 minutes of this game, it was really tight. It was really low scoring. And the Red Wings even had a lead. It's just, I think in the end, especially when you factor in the fact that they lost a forward and a defender in the second period, the team just ran out of gas, man.
Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty good, I think that's pretty accurate. I don't know. I think the definition of not getting too high with the highs and too low with the lows is complaining a little bit about the win and then being like, oh well, we lost, but it's kind of okay. I think that's the in the middle type of thing that, and mixed feelings that I get out of the weekend too. It's tough. Like we said at the beginning, this break could not have come sooner for a team like the Wings, and if you would have told me that they would have been in the game tied relatively late with a chance to win with a prominent defender that gets a lot of ice time and maybe your best penalty kill artist on your team getting hurt, as well as your 4th string goalie out there, if you would have told me that all of that would have happened and you still would have had a chance to take the lead or at least tie it late in the game, I probably would have taken that and ran with it and given ourselves a fighter's chance. So tough, obviously. If in a perfect world, you at least steal a point out of this, and you kind of were set up to be close to that. They had a couple of opportunities at the end of the game because New Jersey just could not score on the empty net for whatever reason. But yeah, man, tough to go into the break on a loss, but also definitely a hard-fought game.
One thing that I will say that was really excellent in this game is the penalty kill. And the penalty kill has been struggling up until this last, ironically, 7-game stretch. The best thing the Red Wings have done in this losing streak, in this losing skid, has been their penalty kill, which is just so ass backwards when you think about it. But they are 17 for 18 in their last 7 games on the penalty kill, only having allowed 1. And the Devils are the best power play in the league. And they made them go 0 for 3 on the power play. There was a little bit of luck involved, a couple of missed opportunities by the Devils, but the Red Wings played them tight, forced the passes to the outside. And, when they got the opportunity to clear the puck down the ice, they did. Even had a couple of shorthanded opportunities as well. I just wish Jake Weldman would have shot the puck instead of trying to pass it across to Andrew Kopp, because the pass was not there. But
yes, yelled at my TV. Yes,
so mad. But this was a frustrating game because of the fact that they kept getting power play opportunities off weak ass phantom calls. The only call that I saw where I was like, that's legitimately a penalty, was probably the high sticking call to Daniel Sprong. Mm-hmm. The interference call that Lucas Raymond received, there are 2 players that were going to the puck in the corner for a battle.
He gets nudged into net. Like
No, you're talking about the goalie interference. I'm talking about the first interference call.
Yeah. I am both.
But you could say both.
Yeah, the goalie interference one, like the ice angle. I guess you can kind of argue it's a little tough to tell. Maybe I'm biased, but I didn't think it was that hard even for that angle. But I can kind of understand, like, maybe there's 2 guys going for the net. Raymond was in front, whatever. The bird's eye view angle, there is literally no doubt. The dude just beelines to Raymond and gives him a little hip, and he flies into the net. Like, I don't know, man.
And that's the thing, too, is like, obviously the Red Wings penalty kill did a great job in this game, but you're looking at the 2 weak calls. I mean, you could make an argument for the interference on Lucas Raymond. Some people will say that that's a hockey play. Both players are going to the corner battling for the puck, but Lucas Raymond just knocked him over, so it's going to be interference. The Simon Edvinsson hold, and that's another thing we got to talk about, Simon Edvinsson getting recalled to make his season debut. But Edvinsson, the hold on him, that was non-existent. There was no hold there. The Sprong one was legit. Ben Sherratt roughing against Jesper Bratt, that was offsetting. I know that. But, so Sherratt's going to hit Jesper Bratt in front of the net, but Bratt, starts to fall over. So Sherratt goes over him. And so Bratt gets up and just starts, it was the weird, it wasn't even throwing punches. He was just shoving him like a little kid. Sherratt gets on top and then, stops. And somehow Sherratt gets a roughing too. And I'm like, what?
Remarkable.
What? And then the Lucas Raymond goalie interference, like you said. Just the crazy weak calls that the Red Wings received in this game to put, and yes, it did not cause any goals against, but it's hard to also score when you're playing penalty kill. So it did still hurt the Red Wings because it took away 5-on-5 time, especially the goalie interference late in the game, or early in the third period, rather. This is a game you're trying to put away, and now you have to go on the penalty kill in a third period. I think at that point, still up 1. So it's just no, they weren't even, it was tied at that point. So it's just incredibly frustrating. And I don't want to say the reffing blew it, but just to have all those soft calls time and time again is incredibly frustrating to watch. But overall, again, I think that they played a tight game. Of course, the game winner was another redirected goal. Oh, and I thought the game tying goal was actually a pretty soft one as well. Michael Rasmussen, who's just been struggling this season, turned it over in front of the Red Wings' own net. Timo Meier just fired the puck from near the goal line, and it just trickled past Hutchinson.
I'm so tired of teams just firing away from the blue line and it just bouncing off 7 people in front of the back of the net, man. It feels like it's happened a ridiculous amount lately.
Yeah, it's I'm bashing my head against the wall watching this team sometimes when they give up goals. Yeah. Also, obviously, Simon Edvinsson was recalled. What'd you make of Edvinsson's game?
I thought it was fine. I don't think I was I don't know. I don't think I was blown away, but he didn't play 25 minutes or anything either. Yeah, man, like he was fine. I think the development we've seen from him over the last, I don't know, year and a half now, maybe a little bit less, has been really, really solid. I'm glad that we're getting to see him play again. It always sucks that it's at that, like, the only way he was going to play was at the expense of an injury. And I know that we kind of like jokingly texted about it, but I can't feel somewhat responsible for the spike in blue line injuries. An episode after we talked about how miraculously this entire blue line has stayed 100% healthy all year. So that's probably a little bit on us, but it's yeah, man. I thought he was fine. Again, I agree with you. I think the penalty was ridiculous, but he's a really good skater, and I think that that's kind of like the most notable thing for me early. Like, if you're that big and that good of a skater, if you have the hockey IQ to go with it, he's going to be darn good.
Yeah, and I mean, like, overall, for a rookie defenseman making his season debut, I thought he looked fine. He didn't get it, like you said, a ton of minutes. He only got 13 minutes ice time, and that's with the injury to Petry that happened halfway through the hockey game. But, he posted a 43.48 Corsi for percentage. He was 3.09 relative, so a 3% relative. So he was better. The team was better with him on the ice in this game, according to Corsi. I thought he was fine. I thought he made some really nice plays where he stepped up using his size to intercept the puck. There were also a couple plays where he looked a little out of place. He's just not used to. He's not gelling with the team yet. So there were a couple instances, like on the blue line, offensive blue line, where he wasn't cycling quite the way the team clearly wanted him to, or he didn't play the gap correctly. I think Ken even Mickey pointed it out. So he gave Jack Hughes a little bit too much space when he was coming into the zone. But I mean, I thought he looked fine. I thought there was enough positives to see that I was like, okay, I want to see more of him at the NHL.
No, for sure.
A lot of those little things that he did just comes with playing with the team, and he'll get it and get on the same page. So I liked what I saw for the most part. Same with Michael Hutchinson. He made his Red Wings debut as well in this game. 917 save percentage outside of that one Meyer goal. I thought he looked solid. It was still a little bit reactive rather than proactive, but he was making saves on 37 shots in this game. He faced a lot on the power play or the penalty kill as well, and he made big saves. So I'm happy. Same instance, same conclusion I made with Edvinsson. I liked enough what I saw that I'd be willing to see him again.
For sure. No, I actually thought he looked pretty good. I thought that he looked quick. I think that was the biggest thing for me, and maybe that came at the expense of overcompensating and overbiting. Sometimes he had one where he should have allowed a goal because of how aggressively he overcommitted. That's the word I was looking for, to the left side. But really good defense. They were able to clear the puck out. I don't know who that was out in front, but that was a really nice play. So I think that he was somebody who, again, I thought he looked pretty good. I thought he looked fast, and I was pretty impressed by it. But yeah, we'll see. Again, fourth string goalie, totally fine giving him another opportunity if it needs to. But we'll talk, I guess, right now maybe about Lyon going to IR. He's eligible to come back when the break is over, so we'll see how he's feeling then. But to know that it's possible to be in hockey games with him in net, I think is really all the confidence we were kind of looking for
on the second half of a back-to-back.
Right.
Too. Like that's a tough spot to make your debut on the road on the second half of a back-to-back, but he played well overall. So I was happy to see that. And like you said, Lyon was, to make room for Simon Edvinsson, Lyon was sent to the IR, retroactive to the 16th. So technically, retroactive to the 16th meant he could have played against New Jersey.
Right. Yeah,
he was healthy, but you wouldn't have done that if he wasn't. So that's more of just creating roster space for Simon Edvinsson, who was then, along with Austin Czarnik, sent down to Grand Rapids after the game about 11:30 at night. I was asleep on the couch, so I didn't get to posting the graphic until Sunday morning. Yeah, you were doing something else at that time of night.
You could have had me post the graphic. Might have some typos in it, but
Scotty was not in the right state of mind. He was enjoying his December 23rd. But yes, so I know people are going to see that Edvinsson and Czarnik got sent down and probably like panic. But with the Fischer and Petry collision that took place, which, by the way, we don't know the extent of any of the Maatta, Petry.
Why did we have to watch that 47 times, by the way?
Because I wanted to figure out what happened.
Yeah, but like we get it. They kept like it's one thing right after it happened. Do you want to see the replay? I understand. It was like 30 minutes later, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, in case you missed it," and they showed it 5 more times. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, Fischer in particular looked real wobbly after that.
Dude,
and for those who didn't see it,
which is a loss. Like that's a legitimate loss for this hockey team. That guy is a PK dude. Like that's that's someone that you are going to feel absent from the lineup if that's what ends up happening. So,
and we don't know the extent of it for any of these guys.
They never Olli Maatta either. Yeah,
they never tell you, and
no, they don't.
Super frustrating from a media perspective.
You remember that year,
Bertuzzi,
2 seasons ago, where Bert was day to day and then missed the rest of the season?
He played 9 games, and they kept saying he's like week to week, week to week, week to week. And at the end of the
he's day to day, and he missed 6 months or whatever. Just that's the epitome of the Yzerman era when it comes to injuries. Yeah.
At the end of the season, they're like, "Yeah, he's having shoulder surgery." It's like, wait, what?
What? So absurd.
So I wouldn't panic about Zarnik and Edvinsson getting sent down. I feel like that's probably more of a paper move. I haven't checked when the Griffins play again, but I would assume it's probably just more either A, to make roster space during the Christmas break, or B, to give them ice time. Because if Fischer, Petry, or Maatta are out for any extent of time, they'll at least Zarnik will come back up. And I assume if Petry and Maatta are gone,
Petry or Maatta are out for significant time, then Edvinsson's going to be here. So.
And that's the thing too. Like, right, the Red Wings, even with the Maatta injury, had 6 defensemen still. They still had Justin Holl. They made the decision to then call up Simon Edvinsson. And scratch Justin Holl. So there's clearly a mindset that even we'd rather see Simon Edvinsson for one. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth. I don't want to say that that's the reason, but they made the decision to play Simon Edvinsson, who is, by the way, hanging out with Jonathan Berggren in the New York area, just happened to be in the area. They totally were like, let's go to New York for the game against New Jersey.
Yeah.
And like, in case an injury happens, we'll be there and be ready. Like they're like, we want to play. I thought them talking about how they just happened to be vacationing nearby was really funny. But there's I am confident if Maatta or Petry are out come Wednesday, we will see more Simon Edvinsson.
Agreed.
So, all right. I think that does it. We did it, right?
That's everything on mine. Yeah.
Okay. Well, enjoy the rest of your Christmas, guys. Scotty, I hope you don't get any cold. You've been you know what? I'm not going to say that. You've been good this year. You've been good this year, Scotty. So thanks, you deserve gifts, buddy.
Yeah, debatable, but I appreciate it.
So, all right. And Merry Christmas. Happy holidays as well to anyone who doesn't celebrate Christmas. Happy holidays to the rest of you guys. Hope you enjoy any time off you've been given. And you will also get a chance to hit the reset button because working 40-hour work weeks also sucks. So,
yes, it do.
All right. Any final thoughts, buddy?
We ball, baby.
We ball. We'll be back with a new episode on Wednesday because we'll not have a Tuesday episode because we record the day before. So we're not recording on Christmas. So no Tuesday episode. We'll be back on Wednesday. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.